One of the few remaining tropical swamp forests, Tanjung Puting National Park in Indonesia, is home to a wide variety of wildlife, including the endangered orangutan, Asia's only great ape. Despite its national park status, Tanjung Puting is being commercially logged, and the timber ends up as products for sale in Europe, America, Japan and China. Around 80% of all timber produced by Indonesia is illegally cut. This massive business deprives communities of their precious natural resources, the government of revenue, and is driving many species towards extinction. The most valuable tree species being targeted is called ramen. Ramen grows in natural swamp forest areas in Indonesia and Malaysia. It has never been successfully grown in plantations. This species has driven the timber barons into protected areas such as Tanjung Puting, where the last stands of commercially valuable ramen exist. Loggers are paid about $2 per day for their arduous and dangerous work. Supplied chainsaws by the timber bosses, they live and work in leech-infested swamps, pulling the logs out by hand on crudely built log rails. The destruction to the forest is enormous from logging camps, roads, rails and removal of valuable timber. Due to this illegal trade, the government of Indonesia introduced a ban on the cutting and export of ramen in April 2001. Ramen was also listed on Appendix 3 of CITES, an international convention controlling trade in endangered species, effective from August 2001. These measures should have halted international trade in illegal ramen. Despite this action, EIA and Telapak investigators found illegal ramen entering the neighbouring country of Malaysia after the August 2001 deadline. This barge of ramen was found unloading in Batu Pahat, Malaysia in August 2001.
Where are they from?
It's from Kalimantan, it's ramen. EIA and Telapak investigators filmed secretly before being asked to leave. Such landing points in Malaysia were officially organised with immigration facilities provided for Indonesian seamen. Further up the coast, EIA and Telapak discovered Indonesian boats being unloaded in the historical port of Malacca. Traditionally a trade centre, Malacca was dealing in between 100 and 200 tonnes of illegally sourced timber daily from Sumatra. This timber, including ramen, was being transported to processing plants and sawmills around peninsular Malaysia. The illegal logging crisis in Indonesia also prompted the government of Indonesia to implement a log export ban in November 2001. But in 2002, EIA and Telapak investigators found illegal Indonesian logs were continuing to enter freely into peninsular Malaysia. Faced with international exposure of its role in laundering illegal Indonesian timber onto world markets, the Malaysian government announced an immediate ban on import of Indonesian logs in June 2002. However, an EIA and Telapak investigation in April 2003 has exposed this ban to be a cynical PR ploy to maintain Malaysia's valuable timber export industry. On just one day, EIA and Telapak investigators witnessed more than 30 Indonesian vessels carrying illegal logs arriving in the port of Muar in Malaysia. The boats were seen passing a police post and stopping at a customs jetty, once again showing official complicity. The illegal trade also still includes ramen. Again in Batu Pahat, EIA and Telapak investigators found ramen logs which had recently been imported from Sumatra in Indonesia. Such trade is illegal under the CITES listing and illustrates that Malaysia continues to flout its international obligations.
Ini ramen.
As well as Malaysia, Singapore is also a hub for the illicit timber business. From here, ramen and other timber species are sold onto the international market. Products such as window blinds, picture frames and mouldings are sold throughout the world. EIA and Tlapak investigators, posing as timber buyers, met with a Singaporean trader who openly admitted to smuggling Indonesian ramen into Singapore and to re-exporting it illegally to China under a false species name.
120.
120.
120
per
cubic meter for the license, because they buy license they buy 100 cubic,
right.
but they coming in is 500 cubic.
500.
So just want the license just 100 cubic, because now you must show the you coming or what you show the custom or you got the 100. When you re-export already, you want to show him, these are 100 cubic.
Right.
So to cover it. But we don't have that. We just declare as another species.
Right.
Not.
We cannot declare as a ramen. So we have to declare meaning for another species, like
Dong or Medang or this one. Kelempai and all this.
Illegal ramen flows through Singapore on its way to international markets. In October 2002, 120 tons of illegal ramen was seized by the Singaporean authorities from a company in the same street as that visited by EIA and Tlapak investigators. It had been imported from Indonesia in 6 separate shipments. Most of the timber laundered through Malaysia and Singapore ends up in the markets of Europe, the US, China and Japan. These countries also have a responsibility to halt this trade.
The countries which consume illegal Indonesian timber are helping to drive the destruction of Indonesia's forests, but are failing to live up to their responsibilities. Urgent action is needed to halt the international trade in illegal timber. Malaysia must enforce its ban on the import of Indonesian logs. Stronger measures are needed in consuming countries to halt the continuing trade in illegal ramen. And new laws are needed in the European Union and other countries to ban the import of illegally sourced timber.